Hello, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I wanted to share some amazing spooky recommendations that you can read this season. I've got some great books here, some of them new, some of them a little older, but some of my favorites. So let's get right into it. So the first book is Grady Hendrix, How to Sell a Haunted House. Now, Grady Hendrix has a lot of horror books. He is like an amazing horror author, but this one in particular is amazing because I just love that it has this haunted house vibes. And although it sounds a little bit cliche, it's definitely gripping. In this story, we follow Louise. She actually moves out of her home to work in a different place, and when her parents die, she ends up coming back to her home to check it out and to see if she can resell it. So it's like this huge manor, and then she realizes that she needs to do a lot of housework before she's able to sell the house. To like repaint, she has to do a lot of things to get the house ready to resell it. The house does not necessarily let her sell it. So it's a haunted house story and it's like really creepy. So highly recommend this book. So the next book I'm recommending is My Best Friend's Exorcism. This is also a Grady Hendrix book. But when I read this book, I forgot it was Grady Hendrix and I wanted to recommend it. And then now I realize that this is also another Grady Hendrix recommendation. But if you enjoyed the first book, this is totally the polar opposite. This is also a creepy horror story. But in this, we follow two girls, and one of them finds out the other one is possessed by a demon. So she is willing to do anything to get the demon out of her best friend. So it's just a fun 1970s kind of setting. Do a lot of nostalgia vibe. So it's a really nice and fun book. It's not super creepy and it's a little bit on the fun side as well. And the ambience that's set up in the book is like so good. The atmosphere is so creepy. So definitely check this one out. Next book I'm recommending is Home Before Dark, and there's definitely not going to be a spooky recommendation video in my channel without a Riley Sager book, because I love myself a Riley Sager book anytime during the year, and this time in specific it gets super spooky. And this book is the first book I read of Riley Sager's, and I've read all of the books so far, I think, except the latest one, which is With a Vengeance, and I'm looking forward to reading it. But this one takes the cake. And I don't know why. This book is again a haunted house kind of story, and it's a very cliche. There's a lot of elements in this book that you probably would see in any horror movie or in any book, but for some reason, the book makes you feel really uncomfortable and freaky. It's just so chilling in so many aspects, and I don't know why I enjoyed this so much more than I thought I should have. So again, this follows a girl who comes back to her hometown to sell a haunted house. Well, technically her house, but then it's supposed to be haunted. That's what she understands, and she tries to. She's, I think, some kind of a real estate redecorator, so she comes to redecorate the house in order to sell it. But then there are two points of view, one that takes place in the past and one that takes place as we go through her situation. And I love that. And going back and forth with these characters was so engaging. And I kept giving all these twists and turns in typical Riley Sager fashion. There are so many twists and turns that you will not expect ever. Somehow, even if some twists and turns you did expect, it would still make you feel, oh my gosh, what just happened, kind of feeling. And that's why I love this book. It's a great book to pick up, and I highly recommend this one as well. The next book or author that I'm recommending technically is John Saul. This is Creature. This is one of my favorite John Saul books. I don't know why, but John Saul doesn't get the recognition he deserves, I feel sometimes, because Stephen King is like everywhere, and my recommendation video is not going to have any Stephen King books, at least for this video, because a lot of people do read Stephen King's, and I've read them too. Some books are just great, some books are just not my cup of tea, some don't necessarily spook me out, and some are pretty long. And by the time I get to the ending, I'm already perplexed. But Stephen King is the king of horror. I understand. I'm not going to do anything or take anything away from that. But you should definitely read a John Saul. John Saul books are so good when it comes to creepy horror elements, and this one in particular is just amazing. And this one came out like so long back, but it gives you exactly the Stranger Things vibes that you would never have expected. It feels like Stranger Things was even inspired by this to some amount. There are a lot of books that talk about similar concepts, but this one is like really good. So this in this book we follow a bunch of people in a remote town, a small town in the middle of nowhere in the US. Something's creepy that's happening. Kids are disappearing, and we find out that the government is involved, and there is something going on, and there's an investigation, and then we uncover dark secrets that take place there. So it's so much fun and it's so engaging. I really enjoyed this book. If you're picking up any other John Saul book, also that's great. A lot of his books are really good. So definitely check him out. The next book I'm recommending is The Devouring Grey. Now, this book is also super good. This follows a girl who comes back to her city, New York, and it's called Four Paths. And that's technically because her mom is one of the founding members of the Four Paths. There are four paths that you get to take, and there is a lot of danger that lurks in the depths of the woods, and the bloodline has protected Four Paths from the grave, which is a lifeless dimension. It just sounds so nice. The whole different dimension kind of feeling is again giving me Stranger Things vibes, but this is like a great book to I definitely recommend checking this book out. Next book that I'm recommending is Anathema. This is another super good book, and the cover just looks exquisite. I'll just read this expert here, and I'm pretty sure you'll be like blown away by just the first two lines. So it says that this is a gothic dark fantasy about a shunned woman who is forced beyond the mortal realm's forbidden boundary into a terrifying world of cursed souls and grotesque creatures. Only the banished know what lies beyond the woods. There are whispers about what lurks in Witchnell, the forest where sinners go to die. The villagers call it the Eating Woods because that's taken whatever is taken there is never given back. Only those who've lost their senses would dare to go near it, or the banished. So this is like a little bit that I read. The excerpt is a little bit more, but it just sounds so good. This one is again a great gothic dark fantasy book. So if you're into that kind of genre, definitely check this one out. The next book I'm recommending is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. And this is the same author who had written The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. So you can read that one as well. That's a great story. But this one is the more recent one, and I wanted to recommend this because it just sounds so good. So the books that I recommended till now are a little more on the creepier, spooky side or very gothic, dark side. But this one is a little more less gothic and less creepy. It's more fun. So it's more on like the October season, but it won't give you a fright. So this is a great recommendation if you're not into heavy gothic elements. So for sure, check this one out as well. So the next book I'm recommending is The Bewitching, and this also sounds amazing. Again, this is back into the gothic genre, so it's a little bit on the heavy side. If you're not going to read something heavy this October, then I recommend not picking up this book. But if you're into creepy, frightful fantasy, then you can check this one out. I'll just read a little bit of the excerpt because it is so good. So it says three women in three different eras encounter danger and witchcraft in this eerie, multi-generational horror saga from the New York Times bestselling author of Mexican Gothic. Back then, when I was a young woman, there were still witches. That's how Nana Alba always began the stories she told her great granddaughter Minerva. Stories that have stayed with Minerva all her life. So she picks up horror literature and is researching the life of Beatrix Tremblay, an obscure author of macabre tales. In the course of assembling her thesis, Minerva uncovers information that reveals that Tremblay's most famous novel was inspired by a true story. So there's a little bit more to the excerpt. I'm not reading all of it. but definitely check this one out. So the next book I'm recommending is Immortal Consequences. I just got this book. I'll definitely add it in my next video where I'll just show you a haul of the books that I recently got, which includes this one, and we can talk a little bit more about it. But just on a higher note, this is a dark academia book. It says, welcome to Blackwood Academy. Some fates are worse than death. This is more on like, not on the gothic or creepy side. This is more on dark academia fiction. So this is about a school that's located at the edge of the afterlife, and you need to graduate this to get to join Blackwood's magical elite. So this is a fun book. If you like dark academia, I'd recommend this one. Check it out. So the next book I'm recommending is The Late Night Witches by Aurelia Wallace. Now Aurelia Wallace has some great fun Octoberish spooky books. Not really like spooky in the sense it's not going to give you a fright, but simple fun books, just like the one that I recommended about Sangu Mandanas. So this one in particular, it takes place on King Edward Island, which is in Canada, the same place where Anne of Green Gables was set. And so immediately I was drawn to it. So if you like that kind of a setting, but with autumn and Halloween and vampires, then I highly recommend this book. There we go. So those are all the books that I wanted to share with you this spooky season. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and like button and do subscribe, and I will see you in another video. Bye.